I was catfished twice by the same person. Honey, when I tell you this was the point where I was so creeped out.
Wake up, get up, stretch my legs, eat some breakfast, milk and eggs, brush my teeth up, wash my face, throw my clothes on, start my day. Wake up, I can smell the smoke from the bacon. Let's go.
Alright, hey honey buns, welcome back to the channel. If it's your first time here ever, welcome for the first time. I am Meela Vanderbuilt, and today we are chatting about catfishing. So usually on my channel we play games, primarily Second Life, and a lot of times I have these conversations where I do my makeup and I talk about things that I've learned from just like being online or in virtual communities or playing games or being in Second Life, and we just chat about them a little bit. I want to thank everyone who's kind of participating in these conversations. I always put these out on Discord, my community tab, and on Facebook to ask you for your input and some of your experiences, and I just really want to hear what other people's perspectives are. I always welcome different perspectives in the comments. Just be respectful of each other, of me, of yourself. And you know, even if you don't agree, I completely welcome those opinions. I'm super excited for today's topic because it's something I thought I would never talk about, because I was catfished and it had some very strange effects on me that transcended Second Life and even kind of dipped over into my real life. And I was always like, I ain't gonna go there. That was a whole lot of vulnerability. I don't want to talk about it, but you know, we're gonna talk about it today. And I'm gonna talk about a couple of your experiences that you sent me while we put together this look. Film this wig. I'm gonna link this wig. It's a different. Lost both my AirPods and oh, there it is. Oh, there it goes. I haven't done a video like this in months. I feel like I only did like 4 to begin with, and then it's been since like November. I've been binge watching Catfish on Hulu for the past like week and a half. Season 8 came out on Hulu and I've been watching it, and I'm like, you know what? Catfishing is so common in Second Life. So basically you have different ways to do it. So you have just generally people who are just lying about who they are behind their avatar. So they're either sharing pictures that aren't themselves, sharing pictures of homes and cars and vacations that aren't theirs. A lot of times on social media, because people have social media presence or social media pages for their Second Life stuff. So sometimes it's a lie on social media, but sometimes it's to people directly. Sometimes it's just in worlds and their profiles. And another thing that happens in Second Life often is because you can have alternate accounts, you can have lots of different accounts in Second Life. What tends to happen is if people mess up with someone that they're interested in, they will go ahead and create a whole nother account, pretend to be a different human being, and then try to progress in another relationship. So it's a super common thing in Second Life. I think it's super like damaging to your psyche and to your mental health a little bit. So today I want to talk about different catfishing experiences. I've gotten like slightly better with makeup since the last time we did this, but not much. And I will link everything that I'm using in the description below, so be sure check it out if you want to know any of the products I'm using, if you want this wig that I'm wearing, the shirts, headbands, AirPods. Actually, they're not AirPods because I keep losing them, so I just buy cheap ones now. Like, I can't really hear the difference. Okay, and I lost one. Why is it so hard? Okay, so the biggest mistake I always make with makeup is putting on my foundation and stuff first, because I make a hot ass mess with eyeshadow. So I'm gonna start with shadows. The one thing I didn't grab. Okay, so in the spirit of catfishing, I figure we could do a slightly natural look. I've been trying to like experiment with what would be my like everyday streaming look when I don't want to put too much on, because I'm gonna start streaming on Twitch, so that just introduces a whole extra day, and I don't really feel like doing full glam every day. So I've been trying to figure out how to do a slightly natural look. So alright, I didn't moisturize first, so I'm just gonna use this Mario Badescu Cellufirm moisturizer. Okay, so primarily catfishing in Second Life is pretty common. I think there may have even been a catfish episode about Second Life. What's weird is I always feel like it's oddly like not seen as a big deal. I think because for the most part a lot of people in Second Life operate anonymously. So that is like the overall assumption, is that if you're in Second Life, there's no need or reason for you to even say who you are behind the avatar. So with that being said, a lot of like catfishing isn't a huge problem for people. I know for me personally, I was never revealing who I was behind the avatar, and I never expected anyone else to. I really just genuinely didn't care, So it was never an issue. I mean, until recently. We'll get into that. We'll get into why it changed. But for me, it wasn't a big deal. I didn't care who anyone was, so I didn't care what pictures or images they were sending me. A lot of times that didn't even happen. I did come across, so I asked a bunch of people their experiences with catfishing, and one person actually admitted to catfishing, and like, thank you, person, for this. So I was trying to get like both sides of the story. So while that being said, Second Life is primarily anonymous. People operate anonymously for the most part. But for some reason, there's this weird pressure that's like come into things lately where people are, well, first it was with voice. I remember for years, people used to say I was a man behind the avatar simply because I wouldn't voice. You know, for me, I'm like, it's my decision how I interact with this platform, with this game, with this virtual world. I'm not talking to you. I don't like talking on the phone. I'm not talking to you in this game. This weird like pressure to voice, to verify that you're a woman or whatever people want you to voice for, because there's so many weird reasons that people have for it. But at the end of the day, I was like, I'm here to just play and role play. I'm not here for real life connection, so there's no reason for me to chat with you if I don't want to. There's a weird pressure to voice, but now lately there's even more of a just pressure to show who you are behind the avatar. So some people succumb to that pressure and they don't really want to show who they are, so they just begin lying about who they are just so they can keep some of those relationships. So I think that's the first thing to point out. You have people that regard Second Life very differently. You have people that are just here to play. Their life outside of that computer is no one else's business. And then you have people who are making real life connections, or people that have gotten married from the connections they've made in Second Life. You have people forming real relationships, real friendships where it's not a big deal. I think there needs to be a lot more respect from both sides for how the other lives their Second Life. There's not just one way to do it. And I think that's where people keep trying to push that, you know, if you're here, you should be who you are, you should be proud of who you are. Like, great, you should be proud of who you are, but it's no one's business, like, who's here. And that was the way I functioned in Second Life forever until recently. Let's start putting some shadow on before, let's just figure out. So I have a bunch of palettes to go through, I don't know. I've been trying to do that, just like one eyeshadow look. I'm no good at it though, so we might end up with two. I mean, to be honest, I might go with the Morphe. The Morphe has so many like brown tones. I know it's an absolute mess. I think I'll just do Morphe. All right, so this is actually a She Glam like color and sculpt stick. It's supposed to be for like, you know, highlight contour, but it's way too light for me. So I'm just gonna use this on my lids. So now, since we have established that there are different ways to catfish in Second Life and different ways to lead your Second Life, this video and all this commentary is not at all related to the people who choose to live anonymous Second Lives, because that is completely valid and people do that. And no one says that you have to come in here and make real life friends or real life connections. That is not what Second Life is about completely. So don't try to get sold on that idea. For some reason, I can't talk and do anything near my eyes. I'm gonna read some responses while I do this. I'm gonna pull up the Discord ones first. But as I was reading all of these, I found some trends, and those trends are the things that I want to talk about. Like the things that I feel like everyone just kind of ignores when they're either catfishing or when they've been catfished. I'm trying to like replicate my mistakes so both eyes kind of look the same, because I always make my eyes look super different and then I look all cross-eyed. Girl, we're making a mess already. Wait, do I always end up looking like Hamburglar when I'm doing makeup? So this was a response in Discord. A shout out, thank you so much for responding. But she's like, I was catfishing as someone else for the first and second year I was on SL. The main reason I did that was because I was trying to protect all about me real life. Till this day, I still hide it. I'd rather not share since I don't even know or trust people behind the screen. Fine for the first couple of months, got into a toxic relationship. Trying to be someone else, told him I had a car crash, and a few months after we broke, oh, and died? Wait. First of all, I didn't know Discord like blocks out letters. So she said she trying to be someone else. She told him I had a car crash and died a few months after we broke up. While me decided to try another relationship. So her close friends understood and forgave her. I think my butt came big. Okay, this one was super interesting. So one, she was catfishing because she was trying to keep her real life information kind of protected. And again, this is like why I think you just need to be conscious of who you're messing with in Second Life. If they're like pressuring you to share real life information and you're a like Second Life only situation, y'all need to just break up, to be honest. Because like you can't really, like I said, there's nothing wrong with either way of living in Second Life, but like where's that gonna go? You have one person that wants this to be game only, and then you have someone who kind of wants to bridge a gap between real life and Second Life. How are y'all gonna be in a relationship together? I don't think that works. So honestly, I feel like that's one of the first things that you need to establish with someone when you're trying to like meet people, possibly date people that you meet here. Like, figure out what their philosophy is behind that. Like, do you want something in real life or not? And honestly, just from my personal experience, pay attention to their response, because a lot of what I've noticed a lot of guys in Second Life will do is they will lean in towards whatever your vibe is on it. So if I'm like, oh no, I want to be Second Life only, they're like, oh yeah, I'm fine with Second Life only. I've had some other ones that were real life and Second Life, or they were real life, but I'm fine with Second Life only. Usually they are not, honey. Usually a lot of the times they're still just waiting around for the person that is open to giving them something in real life that you're not open to giving them. So I mean, heed with caution. People be real quick to say that they're ready to like change their whole relationship philosophy for a person, and they're not. I'm sorry, honey, they're not. Alright, so I'm like just blending here. Should I have prefaced this video by saying I don't know how to do makeup? Alright, but yeah, that's just like my little 2 cents. Like, I don't think there's anything wrong with either type of relationship. I have now officially had both types, and I think you just need to find someone who genuinely wants the same type you want. So that's another reason I say that, because this girl went through all that trouble to catfish this dude because he was asking her so much about real life. Meanwhile, he was actually cheating on her, but possibly because someone else was giving him that real life and he's just like couldn't communicate. It is not her fault she was getting cheated on, honey. I can't stand, just be honest, especially in Second Life, because there's no, like, you could play with a bunch of people. There's no consequence. Just be honest about who you want, but you know, whatever. I have serious trust issues, can't trust anyone behind a screen, so I don't want to give out my real life info. People still ask, and when you don't tell them, they assume things, which I don't like, so I have to lie about them. Only a few close friends know about me. She doesn't trust anything or sharing her real life information with people. Girl, same. And I guess he started dating someone in real life and decided to break up with her. So I think that just implies that he wanted something a little more fluid between Second Life and real life, or just that he couldn't kind of balance both. She went on to say that he started like spreading out random lies about her and saying that she was cheating on him just to kind of, I guess, validate his reason for leaving her. I don't know why people do all that. Y'all underscore don't ever stick to the question. But she said something interesting, that she's been on Second Life for 11 years. She met so many creeps, male and female, and she openly tells people, I don't want to engage in adult activities with complete strangers. I want to highlight that because a lot of what does go down in Second Life, I don't know if people just don't want to talk about it, but people engage in adult activities, and that could usually mean just play with the avatar, right? But for a lot of other people, they're also sharing like real life pictures and videos that are a little racy and raunchy. Most of the time they're not showing their faces, but depending on just like their level of exposure, they might want to just feel a little comfortable with who they're speaking to. So that's another opportunity where people have been catfished. So you're just like, we don't have to share pictures all the time, but I kind of want to know who I'm talking to before I open up in this way. And then someone will catfish them to get those type of intimate photos or videos from that person, or even voice conversations. Now that happens often. Y'all gotta tell me in the comments what y'all think about that situation, because I have my opinions. I think that is so, it's kind of gross. It's like almost, I know people always like to judge people who like to share those type of pictures. Don't come here with that nonsense, because honestly, it's something, if 2 adults enjoy it, honestly, there should be, when it's done virtually, one, if you're hiding who you are just to get those type of images or videos, you're just like coming in between them and their consent. Like, they did not consent to give it to whoever the stranger is. They thought they were giving it to the person that you've presented yourself as. If you don't agree with people sharing pictures like that, then get out of that space. That space is not for you. Yeah, I do think that dances on a very like gross line between what's consensual and what's not. When you start to lie about who you are behind the avatar to get intimate pictures from someone, yeah. I'm going to also try to get this color under here. I'm no good at this. I'm gonna try to just use a tiny brush, I guess. I know it's not for this, but like this one is a little easier for me. But yeah, I think, you know, I wanted to like organize this video in a way where we talk about catfishing, then talk about the consequences. But I think that's just one that you can't talk about without talking about consequences. When you pretended to be someone else to get intimate pictures of someone, and then you get those, and then they find out, like, that feels so violating. I don't think anyone understands it unless you've been in that situation, and it's something that you enjoy. You just assume, like, I don't understand why the blame always goes on the person that's been lied to, but you know, if you're not comfortable sharing yourself with strangers, you're gonna have to go the extra mile into making sure this person's not a catfish. And this is something I've had conversations with people that I talk to, like, I don't even know what brushes are for. I just be like guessing. This one's long. We talked and hung out on the everyday. She was so funny to me. Our play fighting led to a lot of flirting. We got close while getting to know each other and eventually got into a relationship. At first, we only communicated on the game, but wanted to talk on the phone. We sent pics to each other after a few times on the phone. I liked the pics she sent and we continued to talk. Our relationship grew stronger in real life and Second Life. Things started to not add up. She was sending me pics, but they weren't of the same person. When I confronted her about it, she swore it was, so I would let it go. There was another time where she was sending me a pic of her eating something and her hand didn't match up with another pic she sent. After I got mad about it, she said that we could do video chat, but her camera was broken. Again, I fell for it and kept going along with everything. After a while, it became a repeated cycle, and I felt that she was lying, so I broke off the relationship. I think because I was so emotionally invested, I let it go for too long. We had become two people who could depend on each other. I also helped her get through being sick all the time. Things like that made it hard to just leave. My closure came from me realizing this woman was never gonna show me herself and that I needed to move on and detach romantically. Also, I realized that some people literally just need someone to talk to with the judgments of without the judgments of what they look like. I don't talk to her, but if she called me, I would pick up. Honey. So that one, I think I can relate to that. So she saw all the red flags. You know, we all know what the catfish red flags are. Whether or not you watch the show, if someone in 2021 doesn't have a functioning camera for months, possibly years, and Discord also makes it very easy. Discord, Facebook, all of it. You don't have to have someone's phone number to even, you know, video chat with them. Yeah, red flags. So she says it was very easy for her to ignore all the red flags because she was so emotionally invested at that point. That's why it's tricky. So, right, everyone has this like formula of how they handle the progression of a relationship in Second Life. So people like to connect first, make a connection, build a bond, then slowly progress to possibly voicing with each other, possibly speaking on the phone, and then possibly sharing photos and videos, and then getting to the point where they're actually getting on camera with each other. But can you imagine the amount of time that goes by when you're doing all that? Do you know how emotionally invested you are by the time you get to the point where they now have to confirm their identity? So this is the only platform where you get to invest years into someone before you even know who the hell they are. So I feel like that is why it's just so common. And then people look at that as the normal thing, right? And I understand, I get it too, that it's the internet. You don't want to kind of like put yourself out there with someone you don't quite know, but I also don't think it's completely healthy or safe for your mental well-being to wait months or years for this person to actually confirm that they are who they say they are. If you're going in that route, like if you're remaining anonymous, they're saying about you again. But if you're going in that route, I think there has to be a change to the order of operations here. You cannot wait after getting all of your like emotions and your mental energy and just your mental capacity putting into this one person who has not even had to confirm who they are, and you have no idea who that person is. I honestly think it needs to be flipped. If you know you're here for like real life stuff, just get that verification out of the way first. Maybe you don't do it all the time and keep going back to it because you do have to build that comfort up, but get that out of the way. But yeah, and I feel like people who do intentionally catfish know this, that they've got time with you, and then by the time you are going to find out that they're not who they say they are, you're gonna be caught up. Your lives are gonna have revolved around each other. You may have like parcels together or regions together. You may have built homes and family and friend groups and Second Life together. You may actually be in business, and they know that you're gonna be less likely to reject them once you get to that point. And I get the point that everyone doesn't feel entirely confident and comfortable who they are in real life. I think that is still a decision that you kind of have to make. Like, am I comfortable with myself out there? If no, then that's just what it is. Then I'm not gonna put myself out there for this person, and they can't force me to. There's no reason to feel like you need to lie though, especially if you're either like bringing that real life aspect into it and really emotionally bonding. I got a mess to clean up. I'm gonna go get some toner and like cotton swabs really quick. I'm gonna try to clean this face up a little bit, but I'm out of makeup wipes. I have so much glitter on my face. All right, I'm gonna use the beauty blender to put on my Bobbi Brown foundation. I used a 7.25. Okay, so before I like finish my makeup, I should also talk about my little situation getting catfished. And for me, so I was very much that person that was separate Second Life, separate real lives. I was not in Second Life to make any type of real life connection or make real friends or anything. I was here to play, and that was it. I was here to like shop, role play, drive around, do my thing. If I met people along the way, great, but we weren't I wasn't pulling y'all over into real life. And I had a Second Life. I've had Second Life relationships, but again, they were Second Life only. Like when we logged off of Second Life, we weren't talking or thinking about each other. My first ever Second Life partner, Chris, I talk about him all the time. He's one I'm chill with, like using his name, because we were chill. And if he showed up today, we'd still be chill. But yeah, so for me, I've always been super separate. However, I've always talked about how it's like really easy to open up in virtual spaces, like really talk about things and share things about yourself that you don't necessarily share very easily in real life, or even just like bonding faster than you would in real life. There's just something about virtual spaces that allow that. Some of it may be the anonymity, but I don't even think that's the case. Honestly, now that I've kind of experienced it both ways, it's just something's easier about these people who aren't in your daily real lives that's easier to open up to. So now that I've been on YouTube for Second Life and all my pictures are all over my Facebook page for Second Life, like there's no blur. I equally share my real life and my Second Life stuff on all my social platforms. So when I think about how I exist in Second Life and the fact that I still form these type of relationships in Second Life, I changed my philosophy on how I look at it completely. And I think, you know, when I started all of this, I was very comfortable with like just never crossing that line. Like, I'll just keep my little role play husband. We don't need to do Second Life relationships. There's whatever. But I still decided to go ahead and do one. Like, I don't know why. I don't know. COVID, boredom. But like, it changes things, right? Because I am super exposed and I feel like I'm all over the place. So one, I needed it to be with someone that I trusted. So it was someone that I knew for years in Second Life, like literally nearly since the beginning. We decided to give it a go. But I remember before we even got into it, we had these conversations. I was like, well, you know, I'm all over the place. My face is everywhere. You kind of know exactly who you're talking to. I don't want to get involved in something like this where I'm with someone that's completely anonymous. So that was a conversation that we had before we even went into it. And he's like, cool, bet. Now, I'm not going to use this person's name or really talk about who they are because, again, I've never confirmed they were catfishing. Either way, whatever they were doing, there was a lot of deception involved. So I want to talk about that. So I recently decided to completely remove this person from my life. Like at first I was like, whatever, no big deal. We're just not going to do all that. But no, you know how when you think about something for a little bit and you're like, no, honey, he got to go. We're looking a little bit like a ghost. But I'm going to put some setting powder on. So I'm an oily biche. So this dude, someone I knew for years, it felt fine. We had the conversation, like this is not going to be a Second Life only situation. I know I always have been. And I kind of felt like that was fine because he's always talked about all his relationships in the past have been a blend between Second Life and real life. I think he even mentioned that he's had a real life relationship from Second Life. Granted, I didn't want all of that. I still just wanted a Second Life thing. I didn't want any anonymity. I'm no longer anonymous. I didn't want to be with someone who was completely anonymous. So we talked about that. That was like first conversation before we were even like, maybe we should try this out. Before that, this was the conversation. So what ended up happening, of course, months went by. Like I said, if you know this is the case for you, do not let months go by because one, we were already friends. So I just naturally trusted them. And then we were months into having something chill and it was good, right? We were having fun. It was exactly what in my head a Second Life relationship is because, you know, it's different for everyone. But months go by. Again, I'm on YouTube everywhere. I'm sharing pictures and stories on Facebook and Instagram. It's a lot of me. It's a lot of one side. It's a whole lot of him seeing a lot of me and I still hadn't seen him yet. So I think it was like months in when he finally shared a photo. Okay, battery died. I don't even know what I was saying. Where was I? Oh, so it was good for a while, right? Months in. It was months in until he sent a picture. And this is someone who I had previously messed with a little bit and I had seen pictures of him before and he looked very different. Like I wouldn't have even thought it was the same person. And the craziest thing is the year before when we had tried this little situation out, I swore he catfished me then. And it's not because he was like sending me model images or anything. They were really regular dudes, but there was just a vibe, right? There was like, I remember there was this one picture he sent me of him and like multiple people. And I immediately was like, I bet he's that dude over there. Like he's not the one he's saying he is. He's probably the other dude. But whatever the reason was, that was the vibe I caught originally, like a year ago. And I used to always say this dude catfished me. So that's when I say I was catfished twice by the same person because I was very convinced last year. And then I remember when I started pressing it a bit last year, that's when he kind of disappeared. Of course, he had his reasons for why he disappeared. I have not confirmed any of this. I genuinely don't care. So But that was the vibe I got when I started really questioning or pushing, because last year, you know, I didn't care. I was Second Life only. I wasn't on YouTube yet. I didn't care if he was lying about catfishing. Like, there was nothing that we were doing. We weren't sitting, like, I can't remember what kind of conversation we were having. We might have been, but I didn't care, right? It was just my avatar. I think I sent some pictures of myself, but they were like, you know, those heavy ass Snapchat pictures that are basically catfishes anyway. But he couldn't really tell what I looked like, and he knew nothing about me in real life. So I was like, whatever, if he's catfishing me, whatever. But this time when he came around, I don't know, caught up in the moment. What did I forget? I have no idea. But for some reason, I gave him another chance. And then he started sending me these pictures. And I was like, I don't even recognize this person. Like, this looks like a completely different person. So, you know, I went into like our Discord and I looked back at the pictures that he used to send me. And I was like, is this the same person? And then you know how you have to like look under a microscope. Now you're comparing. So that was when our relationship started to mess up, right? Because all of a sudden, someone I had no reason to believe would lie to me about anything, because I knew this dude for years. What would be the reason? And I didn't know then yet, right? So, but I had the feeling, even if it was crack, like even if it was him, all of a sudden now I have this doubt that this person that I just naturally trusted may possibly be lying to me. But it wasn't that prevalent then. I wasn't really paying that much attention to it. It was just like a feeling. I was like, that's weird. He did have a valid reason for it that kind of made sense too, why he looked so different. And then of course, you look at any pictures of me from day to day, they all look significantly different. But I mean, that's makeup. But for whatever reason, I believed him. Like I said, you get attached so easily. And this is at this point, we're like talking on Discord all the time, every day. He's like living on my Sims in Second Life. And I don't know, he was a part of my Second Life routine entirely. I have to say that he did become a part of that whole routine. So that was when things started to go south. And I remember there were just like a bunch of things in the relationship that all of a sudden I had an issue with, and I didn't know where it was coming from. Like, I remember we were so chill for a while. I was like, I wonder why we gonna break up? Like, we seem so chill. Like, I legit said that because that's how I am. I don't think things are gonna last forever in our Second Life. I was just like, I wonder what it's gonna be to break us up. And I remember me and him used to laugh about that kind of stuff, but then all of a sudden I was finding these things that I didn't like about us together, and I didn't like about him. And at first I was thinking it was like a lack of effort thing. I was like, I feel like you don't try. I feel like you treat me like a homegirl, like we just friends, nothing's different in this. And I didn't like it. Meanwhile, no, it was just festering lack of trust that was beginning to brew, and I hadn't realized it yet. So right, he was sending pictures. I don't know why. Because he and I talked about the fact that he and I were going to get on a voice call and we were going to verify. We weren't going to voice chat all the time because I didn't want to do that, but we were just going to verify who we were and made it very clear from the beginning. We don't need to be attracted to each other in real life. That's not what this is about. This is literally about, can I trust you with really opening up to you and possibly sharing different types of photos and videos with you. Then I got busy, right? So crazy things started happening in my life. I had to travel home for a while. So we didn't have the opportunity to do it. And then I had like visitors here, and there were just like no opportunities for us. Although we could have hopped on a quick like 2-minute call, like a 30-second call of him just saying hello. This was the point where I was starting to get sketched out, and I was like, okay, it's been months now and you still haven't sent me a video call, and we're on Facebook and Discord all the time. What's the problem here? We all have cameras. He has all the technology in the world. He had a better setup than I did. And those Logitech webcams are $10 on Amazon. It would have done. So that's when I was like, wait a minute, we still haven't done this yet. And we're getting very comfortable. Granted, I still wasn't comfortable enough to like dance across that line of being very intimate, because it's just a very different vibe when it's like your face is all out there and everything. Before, I didn't care about like getting a little playful when my face wasn't everywhere. So yeah, I was like, okay, it's been a while. What's going on? And that's when he started sending like videos. And again, that's what I said. They may have been him. Maybe they were. Whatever. He was just being so sketchy about it. Like, no matter what, homeboy was lying to me. But he started sending videos then, like really short clip videos. And sometimes like randomly, like we weren't even talking about anything. He would like send a video. And I was like, okay, maybe he's testing his feet to see if I might find him attractive, if he's nervous that I won't. And then I confirmed that I found the person in the videos very attractive. But again, that wasn't what it was about. We weren't about to have a video relationship because we still weren't about to bring this to real life. We're just like, I need to know who I'm talking to situation. And he agreed to that before even entering into any type of situationship with me. So he started sending me videos, and then I think he knew I wasn't buying it. Like, something was off about them all. And like, it was starting to weird me out, mostly because I think they look so different from what he had sent me last year. And the fact that I still had all those pictures and videos, I don't delete shit, honey. I still have all the ones that he sent me this year. I'll delete nothing. It was just like the way he was sending it. Something about it was just very sketch. And I started feeling like he was lying to me. And I was like, what reason would he have to lie to me? I've known him for like a decade. So I was like, no, this makes no sense. Because he knows that I would chill with him no matter what he looks like. So I don't understand what it would be. So that's when you start getting creeped out. And you're like, is he dangerous? Like, there's no personal reason to lie to me. So what's the real reason? So he sent me this video one day saying my actual name, right? He's actually speaking in the video for the first time ever, and he's saying my name. And the voice is 1,000% different than the voice that I talk to every day, right? Nothing about this voice is similar. The accent, maybe. It sounds like they're from the same place. And I don't know, you know, sometimes you get like in a mood and you're talking to a camera and you sound a little different. Maybe. Maybe it was because he's on a different, you know, he's usually on a mic versus being on his iPhone. Maybe. But this was a completely different voice. If I played you these two voice clips right now, you would be like, girl, obvi. But I mentioned this, and those were all the reasons he came up with. I'm on, you know, a mic when I talk to you in Discord and on Facebook, although sometimes he was on his phone. So, really? What else did he say? Oh, that, you know, he was a little drunk or whatever. It did not match up, honey. So after that, then I was like, okay, we really gonna have to voice verify before, or cam verify before we proceed at all. And he just very casually ignored that. And ignored the fact that this is something that we talked about at the beginning, and this is something that he said he was okay with, so he would have the opportunity and access to me. So he was okay with it. So I would get emotionally invested when he had no intention of doing any of it. So whether or not he was catfishing, he was being deceptive just to get close. And I feel like that's something I ain't never gonna forgive him for. Well, I'll forgive, because you can't just like hold on and fester to stuff, but I'm never gonna welcome him back into my life. Like for a while I was like, okay, we could be friends, because you playing, I don't want to do this. But no, honey, I think we're done with that fairy tale. So after that video, I was sketched out. I was like, okay, he's very clearly catfishing me. And what ended up happening was, now that I was saying, okay, this is not good enough, I need to speak to you live, and I need to hear the voice that I hear every day, it's to match the video. And all of a sudden, like, videos couldn't happen anymore. Now he's saying that I made him uncomfortable, that I'm like pressuring him and forcing him into this. And I was like, did we or did we not have this agreement? This is the premise of our whole relationship. So like, no one's forcing you. This is what you agreed upon, and either you want to do it and we continue, or you don't want to do it and we stop, because I told you I'm not comfortable with like being in this situation with someone when I don't know who I'm talking to. So that was the story. But it very quickly turned into like, he was now saying I was like the aggressor and I was the one forcing him, right? But I think, you know, I'm real chill about a lot of things. And I think he was just like, okay, I just need to satisfy her for a little bit of time, we'll be all right. So he started randomly video calling me when I wasn't, like, randomly out of nowhere, not saying he was gonna do it. I might have my phone sitting there, and we're on Discord, so like my phone's like face down on the desk and I'm doing something, and I'll glance over and notice that he's on a video call, but it's a very strange like looking thing. Like the first time, it was a tiny little square in the middle of the phone, so it was bizarre. I don't even know how you can get that type of image on a Discord video chat, but it was literally a tiny little square in the middle of the screen. Couldn't see anything. You could see that he was like holding a dog or something. I don't know, I couldn't really tell. And then I was like, okay, and then he turned it off, tried to say it was like an accident. And then another time, again, unexpected, I was just like not really paying attention to the phone or the screen, and he was on the video. And finally, when I look at it, honey, when I tell you this was the point where I was so creeped out, it was a static image. So you know how on Snapchat you can face swap pictures? So I used to do this all the time with Meela. If I find a video, I'll post it. But I used to face swap my face with hers, so it would look like Meela's face, but like I was moving and talking through it. It was very creepy. You can do it on Snapchat. This is exactly what it looked like. So first it looked like he was like sitting somewhere. He said he was like in the bathroom or something. And it looked like a static image. It looked like a face swap video. You could kind of see like a little bit of movement, but it looked like an image was swapped in using a video for it. Like I was so creeped out at this point. And I stayed on the call because, you know, for goodness sake, I am a curious human being. I don't know why, but I was like, all right, what else are we doing right now? So it continued. Then there was a moment where, so he turned it off because I think I was verbally freaked out, and I was like, what is this? What's going on? I was like, it is a static image. What are you even trying to show me? And then like maybe 10-15 minutes later, now he's like in the shower, and it's another situation where it's a static image, and I could hear his voice and I could kind of see the lips moving, so you could tell it was like a face swap. It was so, I was freaked out, honey. I don't know, honey. But whoever it was in the video that did say my name that time, that didn't sound like him, maybe it was him, maybe it wasn't, who knows, but everything was just sketchy. So whether or not it was him, everything was sketchy. And you're like, for what? So that's when I started to get curious about things. I'm that person. I just kind of want to know what the end game is. And sometimes I'll stick around longer than I should, simply because I do want to know what the end game is. And in this case, I was very curious. I wanted to know why this person that I've known my whole SL, this person that we've always been very chill, always been real cool friends, no big deal, was all of a sudden intentionally deceiving me. It was very hard to put a finger on. And it was like everything seemed like a lie after that point, right? So he literally, I think one day told me it was snowing outside. I was like, this lying asshole, let me look up the weather where he says he's from. Is it snowing? And like, is he just telling me that because he wants me to believe that he's from wherever the F he just said he's from? Like at this point, I was thinking anything. I was like, he could be trying to kidnap me, he's a serial killer, he human trafficked. Like my mind was everywhere. I was like, he's up to some ish. But I'm very curious as to what it is. My recommendation for anyone in those situations where you're that sketched out by someone, get the F away from them. Block them. Don't ever speak to them again. I don't know why I kept, literally for my own entertainment. But there was another situation where I was on a Discord call, I think with Raina in Eugene maybe, but I was talking to him in World. And he had been selling me this whole idea of him getting a dog. Because remember I told you that first video he ever sent me, he was holding a dog. So now he's like worked that into the story. He's now getting a dog. And he has the dog randomly barking in the background. When I tell y'all this sounded like a recording, like I was wearing my Rode headphones at this time. And the Rode headphones are the ones that I wear when editing. Because it makes it easier for me to determine like, you know, left ear, right ear. So you know how you can kind of hear the difference between recording and like live audio. I had those on. So, but not even me, like Raina heard it too, and we're like, is that a recording? It was just like a looped sound of a dog barking. It was so odd, and I was like, this is too much. I was like, this is going above and beyond. For what? But you know, I don't know why I stuck around. We were still like having kind of fun, because at that point everything about him was getting on my nerves though. So like even like I could be having a great fun day in Second Life, and all of a sudden he comes around and I'm like, now I'm bored. I don't know why I ignored all these signs. It's literally because I had zero trust in him. I wasn't believing him, and I was starting to feel disrespected that he was deceiving me, and I couldn't figure out why, and I just wanted to know why. So we started having conversations like that about like, we're not having fun in this, I'm not having fun, I don't feel like you're putting an effort. Like we were having all those conversations, but then finally we had the conversation about, why aren't you hopping on a call with me? It's not that hard. What is happening? And then that's when he also started to say like, I was the one that made him uncomfortable, that all these videos that he sent me, I always was calling out something about them. Like not the fact that they were in fact sketchy, he was just saying it was me not accepting whatever he sent me, which was some weird shit. Like if you got a face swapped video, not only would you not believe it, you would think that person's weird as hell. So that happens, honey. And when that happened, I remember I deleted like his whole family off my friends list, off my Facebook, because I was like, at this point, you've said you've known these people for like a decade, and they all see me in real life, y'all all have these conversations. I was like, so we all know that he's playing games with me right now? So I was like, I'm deleting y'all too, because y'all all hear about before that. I ain't here for y'all. Yeah, that's when he kind of turned the whole situation on me. Like now it was my fault that I wasn't accepting enough of his face swap videos, or this video where his voice was completely different than what his voice sounds like on the regular. Not even from a mic component, because you know I'm used to technology, honey, but from a literal, like that is a different voice. So if you're not going to tell me you were trying to mask your voice for whatever reason, then that's a different voice. And I remember the first thing he said too, what? It's the same accent. I'm not talking about the accent. You could have the same accent from anyone that's in your city. That was a different mother effing voice. And it's funny because I was visiting my mom at this point, and I just played that video, and then I played a voice clip of something he'd sent me on Facebook, and she was like, those are not the same people. No one thought it was the same people. Like I didn't show everybody the video, I wasn't trying to put his business out there, but I played him. And no one I know, no one who knew both of us thought that was the same voice. But he was now saying it's my fault that I wasn't accepting of all of these things. And because I wasn't accepting that, I was making him too comfortable to come onto a live video. Honey, my eyebrow getting dark. I shouldn't have been talking about this subject while doing my eyebrows. Wait, what can we do? There's some things you don't talk about while you're doing your eyebrows or they're gonna get aggressive and you're gonna end up looking like this. Does it look as crazy as I think it looks? It does. It's so big. So at that point, everything's my fault, right? The fact that he's not sharing. And then of course, all of the catfish excuses made their way in. Like, he told me his phone was broken. Meanwhile, he's sending me HD videos of his child niece and child nephew. Do you ever notice, this is like a big thing I've noticed on Catfish with Neve. The catfish always brings children into the mix. Like, because they're assuming like, oh, you know, children, you're trustworthy, I should believe whatever you're telling me. He was always sending me videos and pictures of his niece and nephew. It's just like, I don't know how they were like 6 and 11. I don't know. I was like, cute. I don't know. Meanwhile, his camera's broken, but he can send me these HD photos and videos of them. I don't know, y'all. Was I supposed to believe that? So at this point, he's like, yeah, it made me uncomfortable. And now all of a sudden I'm not comfortable. After saying like he's always kind of carried on these relationships where he has no issue FaceTiming, has no issue getting on video. Like, that was what he was saying from the beginning. So that's why I just thought it was no big deal for him. I never would have thought twice. And we had that conversation about what a dynamic between he and I would look like, being that I'm on YouTube and on social media things with my face out there. He just made it seem like this was really an easy, something I don't even have to think twice about with him type of situation. And this is months in that all of this is now starting to blow up, right? I think I made up my mind that that was it from romance. Oh, that was the other thing too, right? So he knew also a part of my motivation for wanting to know who I was speaking to was because I like having my little moments where we are sharing some racy photos maybe. And I just didn't want to do it. Not even like role playing that in Second Life or anything like that. But if I had a moment where I like kind of wanted to, he would send me a video of like, I don't know if I want to bring that part up, but he knew that was what was holding me back in that area. So I always noticed that's when he would like get very share happy, but still it was always like a weird video when he seemingly wanted something like that. And then I had that conversation like flat out, like I felt like that was gross. Like, I'm very vocal about these things, and yeah. But anyway, long story short, we cut stuff off. Again, I don't think at the time I was completely conscious that it was simply because he was deceiving me in some form. Again, like I said, never confirmed if he was catfish. I never found the photos of whoever he could possibly be using. He never said that he was. These are just all the things, right? And even, I feel like even if it wasn't, even if it turns out to be him, there was so much weird deception. You said you were comfortable with something that you weren't comfortable with for the simple fact of getting in a relationship with me. You let me open up and get closer to you when you knew from the beginning that you had no intention of ever confirming who you were. So even if he wasn't catfish, that's something else. I trusted nothing out of his mouth. Nothing he said I felt was true. Didn't feel like he had a dog. Didn't feel like it was snowing when he said it was snowing. Felt like he was lying about everything. And I was like, if he's gonna lie to me something about this simple, imagine all the shit he's lying to me about. So that's what that turned into. It was just a mess. And you know, my eyebrows look crazy. I hope we can ignore them for the rest of this video, and hopefully things kind of balance out when I put on lashes. What's messed up is as we were going through all these moments, oh wait, I should put on eyeliner first. As we were going through all of these moments where I couldn't quite figure out what was up, it started taking up a bunch of mental energy and mental capacity, just space. I couldn't focus on a lot of other things because this was taking up a lot of space, and I couldn't even enjoy our relationship because this was just taking up so much space. So the actual relationship, beyond the dishonesty, was deteriorating. I didn't like anything about this dude. I didn't enjoy his presence. I didn't enjoy his company. I didn't even like his avatar at this point because it was just like festering. It's like big festering green ball of lack of trust, and he knew it because I talked about it all the time. Oh shoot. And I'm a chatty person, right? Every time I'm feeling a type of way or something I'm feeling, I talk about it. Even when I was like talking about I thought he was a catfish because he wasn't confirming it, I would always bring up how I was like, you a serial killer. But I feel like at any point he could have just been like, all right, for real though, I'm not gonna share photos and videos because I'm not comfortable with it. And then I'd be like, bet, okay, let's just end this. You are welcome to change your mind from what we discussed when we first got into it, but you're not welcome to secretly change your mind under the guise of continuing a relationship with me when you know that's not what I'm comfortable with. So that all blew up in our faces, and everything about our relationship went down from there. And I was not a joy to be with. There were moments, and that's also why I got sketched out, because I was like, I'm making this man's life a living hell simply because there's this green blob just festering, and I like nothing about him. And at the same time, I'm trying to resolve the issues, which was strange. Like, no, there's no resolution. There's just a lack of honesty, so it's creating a lack of trust. It's not all on me. But that's what I think a lot of people who catfish people don't realize what you're doing to the other person. So all of a sudden, like, I knew something was up, but he was saying the opposite, and he's someone I thought I could trust and someone I couldn't figure out a motivation for deceiving me. So now all of a sudden, I'm having this weird lapse of my own judgment. All of a sudden, I don't like trust my own instincts. I don't trust my own judgment. I think I'm suddenly wrong about things, and it affects everything across the board, right? So that one like weird question mark on my own judgment, then I was starting to question my judgment with other things that were not even related to him, that weren't even related to Second Life. And I was like, okay, I'm so lost as a human being. I don't know how to make decisions all of a sudden. I don't know how to trust my instincts all of a sudden, simply because someone was intentionally deceiving me, but making it so confusing and also placing all the blame on me. To this day, I don't know what his motivations were. I got to a point where I didn't care. And I was like, you know what? Whether or not he's lying about who he is, there was still deception. I think, oh crap, wait. There was a lot that he just wasn't being honest about. And I'm like, that's just who he is. That has nothing to do with me. It has nothing to do with my judgment. It has nothing to do with my own instincts. That's his shit. And I'm just gonna separate myself from it. So we finally decided to call it quits. But this is someone I've known for the 8 years I've been in Second Life. And it was someone that we thought we could salvage a friendship. I thought I could salvage a friendship with, but I realized, like, the more I thought about just like the overall deception, I was just so irritated with them as a human being that I still wasn't being the nicest to them. And I still, like, I wasn't being the nicest. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a point where you're like, I know right now I'm being toxic as hell. I was being very toxic in that situation as a friend now. And then I was just annoyed every time he would hit me up about something. And then, but weirdly, of course, in that phase, but yeah, as a friend, it wasn't working out very well. Like, it was very hard for us to stop speaking to each other completely. And I remember I was starting to get annoyed because it didn't seem like he was trying to. He was just like still hit me up every day. And I'm just like, cut the shit, dude. I'm sick of hearing from you. Like, you can lie in my face all this time, and then you're gonna come over here and still want to be my friends. But like, we agreed to be friends. So like, at that point, like I said, I wasn't being very nice. I was being very toxic. I didn't understand his motivations. I didn't understand what he wanted from me. I didn't understand anything. And then, you know what also happens when you're in that phase, I think when the person that has been the dishonest one starts to realize this is it, like, this is it. They use, like, there's always a pity story. I'm not gonna say what his issue was, but there's always something that's supposed to tug at your heartstrings and you're supposed to feel for them, right? That always inserts the equation at the end. Once you've had your like final straw, there's always something that's supposed to tug at your heartstrings. Unfortunately, I was so full of like toxicity and resentment towards this person who had been lying to me. I didn't really care. Like, I cared a little bit because I wanted him to be okay, but I didn't care enough for it to take up much space in my life. We're gonna do lashes. Yeah, there's always that pity moment to get you back in. Or there's like the themselves off or something. Like, FYI, y'all, I don't mean actually, I mean just so they can disappear. Like, I remember last year when I started to question, he just disappeared. This year, I remember at one point he was starting to say he was getting sick, and I was like, oh, look, he's about to try to like stuff off because the pressure is too hot. But he didn't. But usually that also happens in Second Life, especially if people have fake illnesses or anything to just kind of get out from under the heat. Yeah, we hung out one more time, and I don't want to say where. We hung out one more time after all this happened, but that was the last time. And then I remember after that, I was like, look at how comfortable he is thinking he's back up into your life. And like, doesn't care that he kind of puts you on this whole fucking roller coaster for no reason, that he had you questioning your own judgment, and that he put the blame on you for it all. Like, he doesn't care. And that's when I was just like, So I just didn't speak to him again. But then it wasn't until recently that I was like, nah, I'm just gonna delete him completely. For me, it wasn't even like the catfish situation being the issue. There was just like so much dishonesty for what? And I could never figure out for what. And for me, that was an issue. But that is something you literally have to let go of. Like, at some point, you just have to say, all right, it is what it is. This person's not honest, and it has nothing to do with me. So keep that in mind, because I mean, that's what I honestly needed. Honestly, the moment I completely let go of that situation, there was such a weight lifted. And you know, I didn't even resent him at that point. I remember I was like, I could be nice to him, because like at this point I don't care, but we're not gonna let someone who like toyed with us this much for this long after knowing me for nearly a decade. What are you talking about? All right, eyelash, don't play with us. You know, it's so funny too. Like, I always said I was not gonna tell this story because I didn't want it to look bad for him. And you know how it is. There's always two sides to every story. Maybe he did feel genuinely uncomfortable. But you know, we're in our 30s, honey. I feel like that's something that he could have been honest about very early on, and we wouldn't have had to go through all these emotional roller coasters being in a relationship that he wasn't up for. Why did I get so bright? But yeah, I think that's the one part that people just don't, when you're like, one, catfishing or being intentionally deceptive, not realizing how there are so many red flags, and then when the person's trying to believe you because they trust you or they care about you, that is going to literally start having them questioning their own judgment, questioning their own instincts and everything. My instincts were telling me to run from like the beginning. Before he even started seeing pictures and stuff, something about it was saying like no, and I was not listening to that voice in my head, and I kept going forward, and I should not have. But you always remain curious. I'm still curious. I'm like, what was that about? What was happening? What were you lying about? What was the point of it? I don't get it. And then I remember there's one point where I think he even said like all relationships need like compromise. I was like, this ain't gonna be the compromise. This is the whole foundation of why we are even together, because we just would not have been. We'd have functioned as friends just fine, but you wanted more intimacy. You wanted a closer connection to me, knowing that you weren't going to do what would make me comfortable in that situation. That would sit right with me. Whether or not he was a catfish, which honestly I'm convinced that he was. My ass that he wasn't, but maybe he wasn't. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. See, here we go again. Literally 40 times a day. Are your eyes blue? Are your eyes naturally blue? These are purple. No one's eyes are naturally purple. And they look purple in that picture. I know on video sometimes they don't look purple. Last year was a very vulnerable year. There's a year where everything was different, right? Everything kind of was on its head, and it was very comfortable to be around familiarity. And it was very comfortable of me to wanna believe everything he said, because he was familiar and he was a constant. I think we were all like craving constants in our life after the year we had last year. And literally I had so much loss, and he was like always there for those moments. I don't think I shared much of it with him though, honestly. So it's not like he was my emotional support, but he was like the distraction that I needed. So when it's someone that you just assuming that you trust and can rely on, can lean on in that way, to be the one that's fucking with you, I feel like that's something hard to get past, and I don't plan on it. But yeah, I remember I didn't want to tell the story because I didn't want him, you know, I still don't know what his motivations were. And again, like I said, always two sides to the story. Maybe he sees things very differently. I don't see it. I see a whole lot of sus behavior that sketch me the hell out. Girl, put in work, girl, put in work. I also asked a lot of people who shared stories about their catfishing with me, like, what happened after? Like, once the relationship was gone, what happened in your life? And it was a pretty resounding response that people just now have trust issues that they didn't have before. And I think that's significant. I think if you really think about that, you're just here to play and possibly meet new friends that are possibly intentionally deceiving you, and now that affects how you carry out relationships for who knows how long. You know, who knows how long it takes for issues like that to resolve themselves or to be resolved. the fact that you may have to actively work on resolving them, I think that's significant. And a lot of people say catfishing in Second Life is no big deal because naturally a lot of people are anonymous, but I think it really does have an impact on just how you conduct your Second Life, how you play, and then also it does have lasting effects on your real life. Like I said, I was starting to question my judgment that had nothing to do with Second Life, like in everyday decisions. Now I'm just like, what am I missing, right? But everyone said that they had trust issues. A lot of people didn't want another relationship, or they were finding it hard to naturally trust. It was like they were putting the next person through too many loops, and then you become that person to that person, and that person gets all messed up afterwards. Like it's just so cyclical. We just keep damaging each other. It's so messed up. Another girl mentioned that what happened after her situation, the person just hopped on another avatar to get to know her again, and that is something that happens often. And I don't know how to help with that. Like I don't know what to tell you because that's very common. And you know it's funny, after again I saw an avatar that just felt like him, and I didn't even question it. I just sent him a message. I was like, what y'all doing here? Like said it very directly, and I think the way I said it convinced him that I knew this alt of his. I didn't know this alt of his, and he kept saying that I met it before. I had never met this partnered alt of his, but I think I just said it with such conviction that he didn't try to deny it. Yeah, I don't know what you're gonna do. Like that's a very real thing, that someone could just hop on another account and start the whole situation over again. And you know, it's always my advice to not like let these situations or dishonest people kind of leave you jaded so you're afraid to enjoy yourself. You're just gonna like have to take those risks, and like, is it worth it for you to take that risk? I would say in Second Life maybe not. But in real life, yeah, you're gonna still have to put yourself out there and risk getting played and hurt all the time, and that's kind of part of life. And that's something that I've had to come to peace with, that's just a part of life, you know, throwing yourself out there with the possibility of really being burned. All right, so I just have to do my lips. I don't know about orange. We could try it. We could wipe it off if we don't like it, right? But no. So literally that's how I was at first. I was like, oh my God, I'm never having another Second Life relationship. Well, I have one like this. So again, part of me getting into this was, you remember I did that video on Second Life relationships, and everyone was like, how do you have these relationships that have nothing to do with real life? And I was like, I don't know, easily. So when he came around this time, I was like, you know, let's try it. Let's try what everybody's talking about. Let's like blur the lines a little bit. I'm not gonna like get into a real relationship with this person. I'm not gonna like let it inhibit my real life relationships, but what's it look like to just be completely open? And then when all this went down, I was like, you know what, never doing that again. And you know what, yes I am. Maybe I should have used a red lip line. Let's try the Smashbox one. I'm just gonna put it over it. Why is it so dry? I never use this. I feel like Smashbox is like, you gonna use me? I'm gonna dry up either way. Also the song where Drake is like, I don't want to play no games, is in my ear. And I feel like that's another thing too. Somewhere along this, I was like, I feel like he's kind of into a certain level of chaos that I'm not into. Like, because it's not chaotic to just tell the truth about stuff. It kind of is to lie. So I was like, you know, I'm never going to know what the motivation was. I can just go on accepting that he's okay with a certain amount of chaos. And maybe even likes it. And maybe that was motivation enough. And that's just like where I'm going to leave it at. But it's not going to stop me from having a good time in Second Life. I'd do it again. But we're getting that video chat first. I'm not doing this backwards. Let me build up months of affection for you. No sir. I don't care if it's backwards. It's 2020. Especially because at that point they already know who I am. I can't tell how this is reading on camera. In the mirror it looks a hot ass mess. Does orange gloss exist? Could I like just throw some gloss on it? But yeah, that is my catfish story, and I hope like that we can all learn from our own red flags. We know in the moment when there's a red flag. Honestly, I think a lot of times we just like look past them and forgive them, but trust your instincts, trust your judgment, and don't let someone else kind of confuse you on who has gotten you through so many things in your own life, like who has guided you to this point in life. You're not gonna let someone come in and shatter that. Like, you know who you are. You know when something's right, you know when something's good, you know when someone's being honest, and you just have to like trust that. But don't let them hinder how you interact with the world going forward. And if you need someone to talk to like get through that, then do that, because just don't go back to that person. They're not the ones that get to talk you out of it. I'm feeling this. Let me look here. You ever think you like look super cute and then actually look at the video and you're like, oh, wasn't cute. I think it's decent. What are we talking about? The song I'm listening to is like actual trash. Rope Baby by whoever. But I can say, like, before the ish hit the fan, I knew, like, there was a voice in my head saying, run, get out of this, get away from this. You know, it's crazy. Like, I think that was starting to fuel my curiosity. Don't be curious. Don't let someone continue to have access to you when they're not being 100. Even in the game, if you guys have agreed to be honest to a certain level about stuff or real about stuff and they're not doing that, don't stick around. It's easier to say than to do, especially sometimes if your lives are really ingrained. But protect you. Don't let it leave you jaded. For everyone that has trust issues, girl, honey, I feel it. I feel you. I don't know how to resolve that in Second Life. Just continue to trust yourself. And just know that no matter what someone else does, no matter what someone else's actions are like, it has nothing to do with you. You are on your own journey. You can't change anyone else on their journey. Don't stick around to change them too. I always see that, like, don't stick around to change anyone. You can't change anyone. You shouldn't want to. Everyone has their own path on the face of this earth that they need to walk on, and they need to become the human that they're going to become, and so do you. The best thing you could do for the world is become the human that you are meant to be. So don't put too much energy into changing them, or don't ever put into any energy into thinking that you are the reason that someone is deceiving you or treating you a certain way. It's not you. It's always them. All right, honey buns, that is all that I have for you. I hope you enjoyed. Please comment below and tell me if you've had similar experiences. What are like the things that you learned from them, either about yourself or about just relationships in general? Do you think homeboy was catfishing me, or was he just being weird about something? Like, what was going on? He won't tell me. I'd be curious to see what y'all have to say about it. I mean, either way, I don't care. But I'd be very curious what y'all think. I was legit convinced that he was like a serial killer and he was gunning for me, because I was getting very comfortable, like to the point where I was like, yeah, I'd meet this guy in real life. No, honey, absolutely not. But you guys enjoy the rest of your day. If you like this video, please consider giving it a thumbs up, and please consider subscribing, por favor. Even if you thought you were subscribed, just have a look right now just to see if you are. Because for some reason, I've been getting unsubscribed from channels that I know good and damn well I'm subscribed to. And people have been talking about this, and at first I thought they were making it up, but then I noticed I wasn't subscribed to, like, Bailey Sarian, who I watch every single week, twice a week. Check to see if you're subscribed. If you're not and you enjoy my content, definitely do that. I'm gonna try to do more videos like this. I genuinely enjoy just like chatting about things and doing makeup and spilling my drinks. But if you like things like this, you like videos like this, let me know below. You know, come join the conversation, sis. I will see you guys very soon. Bye.
Just the other day, saw you looking my way.
Very, like, it was giving, that's where I wanted to be. I wanted a little bit of cleavage. Watch me like put this on the computer and my face is gonna look rough. Anybody else think Chris Brown sound kind of whiny? Oh, it's not flattering at all. It's getting worse. When you're not feeling yourself in a selfie, just smile. I have shit on my shirt. I added that to my story. I hope no one sees it by the time I get there, because I've posted 98 things today. That's why I spend my night with you. Okay, I'm not trying to get like struck by lightning by disrespecting the song by singing it.